Hey guys, it's Scott from Forgot to Grow Podcast, and welcome to another edition of Rewatch Revisit Review, where I rewatch a movie I haven't seen in a while, talk about my thoughts after revisiting it, and then give you guys my review for that movie. So this week, in honor of the new Ocean's 8 movie coming out this week, I'm going to be talking about Ocean's 11. And no, not the Frank Sinatra original one, because I ain't never seen that, to be honest. I'm talking about the George Clooney Brad Pitt Matt Damon one from 2001. Okay guys, I rewatched this over the weekend because, well, in honor of this movie of Ocean's 8 coming out, and because we're also going to be talking about all three of the Oceans 11, 12, and 13 on the Forgot to Grow podcast, which will be coming out this Sunday, June something, I forget the date. Anyways, be sure to look for that where you get your podcast. But anyways, today we're talking about my thoughts after revisiting and rewatching Ocean's 11. So we're going to just do what I usually do and start with the rewatch section. Okay, so for rewatch, as I normally do, I'm just going to give you guys the quick IMDb plot summary for Ocean's 11, just so you guys have a quick refresher in your mind, in case you haven't gotten to rewatching this yet, just so you know what I'm talking about before I dive into my thoughts about this movie. Okay, so the IMDb plot summary for Ocean's 11 says, Danny Ocean wants to score the biggest heist in history. He combines an 11-member team, including Frank Catton, Rusty Ryan, and Linus Caldwell. Their target? The Bellagio, the Mirage, and the MGM Grand, all casinos owned by Terry Benedict. It's not going to be easy, as they plan to get in secretly and out with $150 million. That's the plot summary, so that doesn't exactly give you too great an idea. It gives you the very basic bones of this movie. Like, yeah, it's a heist movie. That's the bad guy. That's who they're stealing it from. It's pretty straightforward, but this movie is just so much more than this like little brief plot summary can really get. I rewatched it on my 15-year-old, maybe even older than that, DVD of Ocean's 11 that I got. Like, I know it's at least 15 years old because I got it 15 years ago. It's falling apart a little bit. The inside, like where the DVD clicks in, that thing is broke years ago. It's barely a DVD case still, but the DVD still works, and I keep it for this long just because it reminds me of how rewatchable this movie is and how much I love rewatching this movie. It's got such a great cast and story and the characters, and I've loved this movie since the first time I watched it. That's just all for the rewatch. I'll talk about more about my thoughts in the revisit section. Alright guys, so my thoughts after revisiting Ocean's 11 is that this movie is still one of my favorite, what I like to call normal people movies, which means it's not like, it doesn't fall under the geek or nerd kind of category. It's not a superhero movie, it's not Star Wars, it's just a normal people movie, and that's what this movie still remains in my top like 5, maybe 10 all-time favorite normal people movies, because this movie still it holds up so well over time. Like, this movie is now 17 years old, give or take a year, and it's still just like, it still holds up so well. The only thing that like makes this movie stick out that it took place 15 years ago is that there's some cell phones that are still flippy, you know. But even that, like, it's not like it's a central point of the movie. You kind of just get over the like 2 times they have cell phones in the whole movie. So it's just, I really just love the way this movie holds up, and the way that like the twist, even though like after you've seen this movie the first time, you know the twist and you know how the whole movie's gonna go, it's still an enjoyable rewatch, because it's still like it's about the journey. That's one of these things about this movie, I think. It's not about like the end point of the story. It's about sitting back and enjoying a 2-hour movie and just enjoying and going with it, like kind of going on the ride with the movie. And that's how I think this movie's been so successful, and why it's kind of a modern classic, at least in my opinion. Some people may disagree, but I think the fact that it has 2 sequels and now a 4th kind of reboot / sequel, prequel, it's something in them. It's clear that this movie had a big significance in culture because they're bringing it back, right? So, of course, I still like rewatching it or revisiting it. I really enjoy it, and I still enjoy this movie. I'm definitely going to be rewatching this sooner than later again, because I just really enjoy it. I'll especially be rewatching it again if they do a sequel to the Ocean's 8 movie, which I'll be checking out once it gets theaters. Alright guys, so time for the review section on Ocean's 11. So we're going to start off by giving you the critics and audience ratings. So on IMDb, the rating was a 7.8 out of 10, which is pretty high. So then we'll go over to Rotten Tomatoes and we see the tomato meter score for the critics is an 82% with an average score of 7 out of 10. So that's pretty good. 82% of all critics that saw this liked this movie. So that just shows you what a great movie this is. All right, let's go over the audiences at Rotten Tomatoes. They gave it an 80% on the tomato meter with an average rating of 7.2 out of 10. So as you can see, audiences and critics agree and that they like this movie. Just didn't come out right at all. Anyways, in the last ratings I have for you, the last critics ratings is the Metacritic rating, which is a 74%. Oh, excuse me, guys. As you can see, though, overall, critics and audience agree that this is a pretty good movie, which leads into my personal rating for it, which is 2 thumbs up. Of course, because I love this movie. Like I said, it's in the top 10 of my favorite normal people movies, just because it's just so rewatchable. The cast, the story, the dynamic between the different characters, the little things that they do to build up the characters, and just makes it feel like such a real thing, if that makes sense. They feel like real people. I know that they're actors playing these roles, but at the same time I feel like it almost still happened somewhere. It just makes you kind of get so engrossed into the movie that you're just and that's why I obviously give this thing 2 up. I still enjoy watching this movie since the first time I've watched it. What else did I write down? The plot and the characters, check. And what other point to I could easily rewatch this movie over and over again, because it's just, like I said before, it's about the ride. It's kind of like going on a roller coaster. It's not quite as intense as a roller coaster, maybe more like a Ferris wheel. It's enjoyable like a Ferris wheel. You get on and you're just enjoying yourself for the time it takes till you get to the end of the ride. And that's what I feel is so great. It's what keeps this movie holding up so well over time. Alright guys, so let's lead into my next thing, which is my favorite part about Ocean's 11, which is definitely that final heist reveal at the end, when we see what the whole movie was building up to, the planning, the little things that they didn't tell us throughout the movie but they kind of hinted at, like them building the vault and Danny being like, yeah, it's for practice, something like that, like that little foreshadowing and then paying it all off in the end. I love that big reveal, and it's a montage scene, so I'm a sucker for a montage in a movie. But I think it just perfectly that final reveal perfectly wraps up all the main plot points throughout this film, and wraps up the story just perfectly in this flashback montage sequence of how the plan came together and how they executed it, and it's just that's definitely my favorite part. But now we just got the final part of my review, which is my recommendation for this film, which is, of course, I recommend this movie, guys. I freaking love it. I've said it twice already. It's in my top 10 normal people movies, and it's just too enjoyable not to watch. If you haven't seen it, you should, and if you've seen it already, then you should probably rewatch it already, because you got a new movie coming out and it's enjoyable, and there's so many different reasons. I would say almost everybody can like this movie, because it's not any specific genre. It's a heist movie, yes, but it's not super action packed that you're it's not like an Expendables type of action. It's just kind of a little bit more sophisticated. It has the action where you need it. It's not a comedy. It's not a drama. It's just this kind of weird mesh of all these different things. It's a story. It's a movie about this heist that these guys are trying to do, and that's why it's just so great, and that's why I would recommend it to anybody, because I feel like anybody could watch this and enjoy this film. But obviously, maybe not everybody. There's some people who don't like stuff, people who don't like joy in their life, so if you're one of those people, then obviously you don't want to watch this. But for the most part, I think anybody could really enjoy Ocean's 11. But if you're not one of those people, definitely let me know in the comments below why you don't like this, because I honestly can't think of anything. I really can't think of something about this movie that's negative or bad, or I'm sure there are some things. Maybe I'm clouded by my bias of this film. Again, it's in my top 10 normal people films. Oops, I'm gonna put that asterisk there, because as you can see, I like a lot of normal people films. Anyways, that's not the point. I'm just going to wrap up my recommendation, which is I do recommend it. You should watch it if you haven't seen it. You should rewatch it if you have seen it, because before you go and see Ocean's 8 this weekend, not 11. You should watch Ocean's 11 before you see Ocean's 8, so you know where that movie's coming from, okay? But that brings me to the end of the Rewatch Revisit review for Ocean's 11. Let me know, guys, in the comments below what you guys think of Ocean's 11. Did you love it as much as I do? Do you guys not as big a fan, or are you someone who hates it? And if you are, I genuinely want to know what you don't like about this film, the different things that bother you. But definitely let me know in the comments below. But thanks for joining me today, guys. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. There should be a link in this corner or this corner. I can never remember which corner it goes down in because the way the film sometimes flips. That's not the point. The point is, thanks for joining me this week, guys, and have a good one.